Stellaris is the sci-fi game to end all sci-fi games. It tries to not just do one thing, no, it tries to do everything. Without having a coherent story in the background, you are basically let go into a universe where anything can happen that fits within a science fiction universe. Having robots, yes. AI, yes. But also mind bullets by psionics, undead, and all of that stuff. And sometimes these things interact with each other in some very strange ways. And also the devs added some really weird things over the years to make these interactions possible. And this kind of goes into the category of the developers think of everything. So let's take a look at some of the weirdest things that are available within Stellaris. Let's kick things off here with Rock Brain. Rock Brain is incredibly weird because it is in fact an asteroid that can think, and it does a bunch of really strange stuff in that regard because it only spawns, as I mentioned, on asteroids, and of course it is only part of the asteroids waves variety. But if you put a scientist on there, and specifically a scientist that is also a lithoid, you will need to be playing as a lithoid empire, you can have some unique events attached to this. It's not unlike us as asteroids, and we can talk to it. Yes, we can talk to an asteroid as lithoids. Yeah, basically, we can talk to it, and immediately it will spawn a unique background that only is part of the Crystal Enclave. For more details about the Crystal Enclave, feel free to check out the video at the end of this one. But yeah, basically it gives you a bunch of story, if you are, of course, lithoid, trying to figure out what it is, how long it will last, and whether or not it is useful or not. And then it kills itself. Yeah, it definitely just dies because you talking to it literally is killing it, which is sad times, of course. But if you then are also a necromancer, yeah, if you are running the reanimators perk, you can of course bring this robot brain back to life, and also you will get an additional code breaking bonus if you are so inclined. Yeah, Rock Brain Linguistics. It issues the special project. Yeah, let's send it to necromancers, and then it will cost you 10,000 society research in order to do this. In this particular case, it would cost me 144 months. So it is pretty beefy, but yeah, you can get yourself an asteroid. Of course, this leads to the Rise Again variety, where, yeah, you can add in additional stuff to the asteroid to make it conscious again. So it's a zombie asteroid, okay? That's what it is. It can't do anything. Like, I'm running the game on fastest right now. This is the speed of this asteroid.
Under attack.
Yeah,
System survey.
this asteroid's useless. It does nothing. If we go to observe, for instance, and we take a better look at its underlying principles, it's got 9,000 hull. It does no damage, it has no evasion, it's got a regular rank, but it doesn't matter. Apparently it's got a hyperdrive attached to it, as well as a Colossus combat computer. So, yeah, that's weird. You can bring back an asteroid from death, and then just have it float around doing nothing. Speaking of weird things in the game, let's say that you're just playing along, having a fun time, and all of a sudden, you hear this.
Unik krajta I loggan.
Now, what you heard just now is a unique advisor. For those of you who are not in the know, if you go into the advisor menu, you can select all of these awesome advisors. But the one you heard just now is not on this list. No, this is a secret advisor that makes absolutely no sense at all. Why does it make no sense? Well, because it is a Swedish football fan. Yes, there is a Swedish football fan advisor in Stellaris. Now, without any context, this makes no sense whatsoever. So allow me to illuminate on why this exists. So, if you are familiar with Paradox Interactive, they are in Stockholm, and a lot of the Paradox games end with Forza Djurgården, which is basically go one of the teams within Stockholm. There are several football teams in Stockholm. However, at some point, one of the developers over at the Stellaris team decided to put in this particular advisor. An advisor who is referring to a football team that previously was never mentioned in any of the Paradox Interactive games, because Djurgården was basically the team that a lot of people cheered for, and not Hammarby, which is also referred to as a Bajen. So yeah, someone has gone against the grain to add a football fan of Bajen, i.e. Hammarby, into the game, and you can access it. I don't know why it's here. It's dumb, it's stupid, but it's there. It's weird, okay? Now you may wonder by yourself, okay, so how do I activate Bajen then? Well, it's relatively easy. All you have to do is set up the command line to boot up the game with -Bajen. If you're on Steam, this is relatively easy, or you can just right-click on the executable and add a -Bajen into the command line, and then every single advisor in the game will be a Swedish Bajen Hammarby football supporter, because apparently that needed to be in the game.
Bråte funnet. Då har vi rekat i kvarteret. Boffat och klart.
AI behaviors is one of those topics within Stellaris that not a lot of people really understand well. Servitors, what kind of behaviors do they have? What kind of behaviors does a fallen empire have? They are here, the AI personality is listed, but what does all this stuff mean? Well, it actually means quite a lot. It basically defines how willing a empire is to attack, to go to war, to make friends with you, what kind of weapon systems they want to use, their armor, the shield and hull ratios, how much they perceive threats, and how likely they are to conquer you. There's a lot of different modifiers attached to this little string of text that is not really defined anywhere within the game. And there is dozens of these. There are, however, two of them that are bizarre and make absolutely no sense to be in the game. And one of which is, of course, the Blork Communality Fanatic Befrienders. Now, the Fanatic Befrienders is basically the type of empire that is incredibly lonely, wants to make friends with people as much as humanly possible, or in this particular case, tentacularly possible, and they will do whatever they can in order to become your friends. It also includes going to war, because yes, they are in fact a military junta. They also have a rather high aggressiveness modifier. To put this into perspective, if you have a exterminator race, i.e. a synthetic dawn machined terminator type, they are very keen to go to war with you and try to murderize you. And therefore they have an aggressiveness of 2.0. Fanatic Befrienders are on the same boat here. If we go through the actual files and take a look at all of their values, they are very keen to go to war if you say no to them, because they will become your friend whether you like it or not. Now, where does this all come from? Well, originally, before the game launched, there was a stream campaign that the developers did, and the Blork Communality, which was basically the empire they played with, wanted to make friends with everybody, but they were so ugly they couldn't. So, yeah, they forced things into perspective, and then they added them to the game. The Blork Communality Fanatic Befrienders. But there is one other empire type, or empire AI behavior, that is more strange than this one, which is, of course, the Metalheads. Yeah, Metalheads are super aggressive. They've got an aggressiveness of 10, which means they will attack everybody all the time. They have 0 chance to become traitors. They have a 10.0 bravery, which means they will try to make everybody their rival. They will fight whenever they can. They won't accept anything in terms of federations or anything like that. And yeah, they'll try to murder everything that comes in their way. Incredibly rare. It doesn't really pop all that much. And is apparently a reference to one of the audio guys over at Paradox Interactive. Ironically enough, on the bottom of the list, there is also to do after release when it comes to AI behavior, peacekeeping interventionalists, alluring diplomats, and finally, stupid, sexy xenophobes. The Doorway is a random colony-based event, and basically what it does, it opens up an area or a blocker on your colony, and it can spawn several variations of a theme. You can find a other empire on the other side in a different dimension. You can go to the Void, where you can get null beams, but in one particular scenario that is probably the most ridiculous is, of course, a portal to hell. Why is this so ridiculous? Because of the sheer things that can happen in this particular event. First off, you can just try to find a way to close the portal, and with an exclamation mark, because you want to get this done as fast as possible. If you are, however, a feudal society and parts of your empire, so yeah, you know, a feudal society, get a bunch of cool civics, then you can try to fill the portal with rocks. Yeah, this is a reference to Crusader Kings 2, where you can also find a portal to hell, and you can fill it, of course, with rocks. That's kind of what you can do there. How this actually works within the grand scheme of things is a little bit difficult, because just throwing rocks into a hole that ends up in another dimension seems to be a little bit counterproductive, because you're never going to fill up the other dimension, but that's a whole different question. The real fun, however, starts when you send in your best knight, and that, of course, can only happen when you are part of the Knights of the Toxic God. In this particular case, the Knights of the Golden Cube. Don't ask. Anyway, you can send in your knight, and this is where the fun begins. After 10 years of time, one of three things can happen. Number one, the dimensional refugees. Yes, dimensional refugees show up. There's a 40% chance of this happening. You get a bunch of unity as well as 4 pops that not only have psionic, they're also robust, they're strong, they're deviants, repugnant, slow breathers, and they have a Tomb World preference. So you get psionic and robust pops. That seems crazy good, because let's say that you go down the biological train here and you go with the biological engineering, or maybe even down the path of, I don't know, cybernetics. All of a sudden you could potentially swap your main empire pops to psionic and then get some robot engineering on top of that, or some of the other stuff. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool indeed. Or what can also happen is to hell and back, where the knight who has been sent through the portal has been rampaging through that place and is trying to rip and tear their way through, because they are in fact a Doomslayer, and they come back and you get the Doomslayer Empire modifier. I wish I was making this up. This is awesome, and this is so cool. And of course, finally, the Dark Knight, where the Doomslayer has fallen to evil and is leading an empire, or leading an army through the gates of hell to conquer the world of the living, and trying to invade with 3 powerful armies, and if they win, they will create their own country with their own origin, and oh my god, is it glorious. So what do you think? Was this weird enough for you, or do you have examples that are even stranger? Maybe you think that the towel event is pretty darn weird, or maybe you want to point out that there is in fact a sense of pride and accomplishment. Who knows? Put them down in the comments below, and remember, one like is one weird thing that you have spotted in Stellaris that you, as well, want to point out. If you want to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And of course, next up is the video where we talk all about the wonderful world of very rare ships in Stellaris and on how to get them. My name is ASpec. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my patrons. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as always, each other.